Hello, and welcome to Bad Bitches on the Bad Batch. I'm Arzu from The Geeky Waffle and RZD2.com, and with me...
I'm Candace, also from The Geeky Waffle.
I'm Maggie from Your Money Geek.
I am Norhal from Twitter.
I am Hannah from Followers of the Force podcast.
And I'm Connor, also from Twitter and the Nerd Academy podcast. Great to be on here.
And you know what? Before we start...
That's my first time seeing that. I love it.
I know. I was like,
So good.
Maggie, I'm gonna surprise. I'm gonna surprise Arzio. I told you I was busy today.
Yes, okay. I'll allow it. Okay, so before we kick things off and dive into the episode, we thought it'd be fun, since we're just getting to know the Bad Batch, if we went through each member and assigned a Taylor Swift song to them, because we at the Geeky Waffle and Space Waffles are very big Swifties.
It's true.
Yeah, it might. Our Swiftiness is really gonna be public soon.
Contagious.
It is contagious.
Spreading. No,
So-
that's not a good. No, let's not
No.
say contagious or spreading. No, bad.
No,
word.
not in this day
Those
and
are
age.
no.
My bad.
We don't like things spreading.
Rewind.
Rewind, undo. Candace, kick us off. So,
Okay.
our first Bad Batch member, Hunter.
Hunter. Oh, well, actually, Norhal had a good one for Hunter
I know places. Like,
because it has the word Hunter in it.
Yeah, they are the hunters.
Nice.
We are the foxes, and we run, something like that. So
Yeah.
Ooh, I had one from 1989 too. Of Are we out of the woods yet? Out of the woods yet?
Oh.
Ooh.
Hey,
Is that for all of them?
another one.
Yeah, but I was thinking Hunter because I feel like he's taking like the crosshair situation and like their whole situation a little harder since he's the leader.
Yes.
All right. Everybody's favorite himbo, Wrecker.
Willow.
Willow!
Wreck my plans.
Yes.
That's my man.
Wreck my plans.
Go ahead.
Okay, so who else do we have? We have Crosshair.
I think the
I
whole
knew you
reputation,
were-
We're
Abin.
in trouble.
Yeah.
The whole
I
reputation.
knew
Yeah.
you were in
Yeah.
trouble when you walked
What
in.
you made me do?
I did something
Yeah.
bad.
I did something bad. Yes. I did something very bad.
I did something very bad.
Okay, so Tech.
Ooh.
Tech is hard.
Okay, let's circle back to Tech. Echo.
Echo.
Epiphany. Because Epiphany
Wow.
makes me cry, and so does
That
Echo.
was really scary to watch.
Oh,
That's a good one.
that's a good one.
And if nobody's got anything for Tech just yet, what about the newest member of the batch, Omega?
Safe and sound.
Safe and sound, yeah.
Or never grow up.
Oh.
Baby girl.
Just stay that little.
And I guess Tech is just the audio production behind it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the whole
Yeah.
He's the whole thing. Okay, so let's dive in then. So season 1, obviously episode 1, Aftermath. So we kick things off. We have our newsreel style opening, like from the Clone Wars. We see some animated scenes from Revenge of the Sith, and I got very, very excited, so much so that I blacked out and forgot all about it. And then we segue right into the planet of Color, where we see a couple of familiar faces.
Oh my God! Hey! Master Depa and Caleb Doom. Little Caleb Doom.
Look at him.
Oh, Connor, your impact that I see Depa, the first thing I think is somewhere Connor is freaking out right now.
Oh my god.
Okay, do you think about me?
Marbles.
Well,
No,
okay,
I thought
it's
of Connor
Connor's
first.
Twitter handle, so
Yeah.
Seriously, when I watched this last week, I was like, "Oh, Connor's gonna have a field day," and then also cry.
Yeah, that's basically what happened, Maggie. Like when she showed up, my mouth was agape, and I'm like, holy crap. And then like it set in. Like, oh, we're about to go through the Kanan comic, aren't we?
Candace, in fairness, the first thing we think about with you is Sabine.
This is
Okay,
true.
I'll take it. I'll take
That
it.
is-
The
that's who I
helmets at
think
the
of.
beginning until we realized it was Bo-Katan and not Sabine. I'm like, that's what made me think of you, was Sabine.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just really appreciated that we got to hear what she sounds like now, because we never got that in the prequels or just any other story.
Or even
just
Clone
being it-
Wars.
Or the Clone Wars, and just the fact that she was voiced by an Indian actress both
Yes.
added to the authenticity of the character and also had representation in there, so it like killed two birds with one stone. And I just really appreciated that.
I mean, I can't see Dave doing that, like allowing that, just because he's been so good with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
Speaking of voice actors, we got Freddie Prinze Jr. back.
was
All
so much
40-something years of him playing
That
12-year-old
was
So
So
much
Dude.
fun.
whiplash.
Yeah.
It
Like-
was so funny.
It was so good though. I was
It's
so
not
happy to
for
hear
me,
his
but-
voice.
I mean, it's let's be honest. Some teenagers are like that. That their voice
Yeah.
are all over the
Yeah.
place.
What's so funny is that I didn't even recognize it. Like as soon as it premiered this week and people were talking about it, I was like, oh, I thought it sounded like a prepubescent boy that's like going through like vocal change.
He was having a really good day that day.
He
Yeah.
was. He didn't crack at all.
Beautiful.
I think it wasn't until they're like, I don't know, kid, we move pretty fast. And he's like, I can handle fast. I'm like, there you are.
I pretty much, for me at least, I kind of figured it out like when he first started to speak, and I'm like, oh, this is Freddie.
I was so
This sounds
Yeah.
so weird.
Freddie, my love.
Aw,
so good.
but it was
So
really good.
Freddie's been having a field day this past week on Twitter. Been
Oh
having a
my
great
God.
time with that one. Like,
With
get
the
him.
trolls making him feel great about this, I'm sure.
Get him. Oh, he's been having fun with
Oh.
them. That's been the best
Oh
part.
yes. He has.
He had a good one about 4 hours ago that cracked me up really hard.
Oh yeah.
I'll have
think
to
I saw
check
it.
out.
Yeah, he's
Anyways,
great.
good to see him back. Good to
Yep.
see him back. So
The opening
Although-
battle just with the Bad Batch was
That
really
was-
good
Good
and
opening
really
scene.
creative.
Yeah. And to be fair, I know there's a change, a slightly change from the comic, but basically the idea of
Yeah,
seeing Depa sacrificing and telling him run as he told the Inquisitor.
yeah. The
Except-
broad strokes
Okay,
are
so
still
let's
there.
let's get it. Let's get because I know Candace has feelings about this.
I have so many feelings.
Why?
So many feelings. Okay, I'm gonna do this really quick. Okay, so in the comics, Deepa says, I'm right behind you, and Kanan knows it's a lie, obviously. And that's like the flashback, and that's the whole thing. And the reason I like it, if it wasn't, I wouldn't care about this if it wasn't in season 1 of Rebels, because Kanan tells Ezra when, right after they do the speech to everyone, and he's like, I'm right behind you, even though they both know that's a lie. It's kind of like Kanan is accepting why his master died for him. And he's like, I care for this kid just like my master cared for me. So there's like kind of that acceptance. And I feel like that point, like, really is when Kanan became a Jedi. Is like when he sacrificed himself for the people he loved.
Yeah.
So that was just my issue because I know George likes echoes, and you know what? So do I. I like rhymes.
But
Yeah,
at least the
just-
sentiment
Like
is
poetry.
still there.
It
right?
was yeah. The
It's
broad
Exactly, because at the
strokes
end of the
Yeah.
day, that's what he did. He sacrificed for Ezra, Sabine, and
No,
Hera
I'm talking.
and
No, I'm talking about.
the first season. Yeah. I
No, I'm
recall
talking
that.
about Deepa doing it and making it that she actually like she still told him to run and everything like that, but it felt like she was like cornered anyway. She wasn't really sacrificing herself. So I wish it
Yeah.
was more about because like again, like Connor said, this is representation, and this is the first time we saw like an Indian woman be a Jedi, and. Actually, like we know, like I know I claim Sabine as Indian, but like she's not definitely one. So technically, she's like the only canon one. And the fact that we only got her for a few minutes, and of course I knew she was gonna die, but I just would have liked her impact a little bit more, and not to just like enhance the Bad Batch and being like
Yeah,
they're the ones
because
who
in
rescued
the-
Kanan. When really,
Yeah, I just
it's
the
his
comic-
master. Okay,
in
that's
the
just
comic
another
was-
issue. But I will admit, when it comes to Rebels, I have blind spots. I'm like, it's my favorite. So I have a lot of emotions to that.
No, and I am there with you because in the comic, I loved how they were in a different situation, and we saw more that they were training right before, and they were not fighting. They were not in the middle of
Where's
the fight. They
where
were-
did Kanan get the holocron from?
Exactly. This was she gave him the holocron, and then they are practicing their forms. They're with Captain Styles, with one of the regulars that was with him. So yeah, I mean,
But
it would have been
we could-
nice.
We could say that she already gave it to him, or just told
He
him
went
to
back
hold on
and
to
got
it, that
it.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal, but
Yeah,
it was a
it's
nice
just-
like little continuation, you know.
Yeah,
like the
it-
nods.
Yeah, it's just like the broad, like as we all said, like the broad strokes of the story are still the same. Just like it just felt odd for them to sort of quote unquote retcon it. Like, I was a big fan of the comic. I mean, the comic was the reason why my Twitter handle is my Twitter handle. And just, it felt, I don't know, it would have felt nice if, you know, they kept like the campfire, it being at night. They could have easily added that instead of like going straight into Order 66. You have, you transition to nighttime, the Bad Batch are off somewhere, and the focus is on Kanan. And then that scene plays out and the Bad Batch comes in somehow. Or like, they could have probably had, and they probably might have had an entirely different like Padawan Master duo. Like, you could have easily, to me at least, added one of the younglings from like the Gathering arc. So like Gunji or Petra or Katuni. And like still have that focus on the Bad Batch with Hunter trying to care for the kid and still having that affinity there, because I just felt like they tried to juggle two things at once and just wasn't super successful.
Wait, and one other thing
That's
is,
pretty bad.
why is her lightsaber blue? She has a green lightsaber.
That was
Okay, but like Ahsoka's lightsabers have changed color across canon.
Yeah.
Like,
Question. Arzu, do you have your lightsaber book handy?
yeah.
Because
Oh my
apparently-
god.
Apparently,
Isn't it
no.
blue in the
Apparently
I'm
in
gonna
there,
drop it. Hang on.
apparently in there, her lightsabers are blue.
Yeah, give me a second.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay, in the comics,
Freddie
they're green.
Prinze Jr. just commented on something I tweeted at him while we were talking about his voice. So that was funny.
What did he say? What did he say?
I had tweeted about how I was loving the way he was handling the people, and he's like, "They're cute, right?"
It's blue.
They're
Yep, it's
oh,
blue.
it is blue. Okay.
In the reference.
Blue.
oh neat.
I guess she went blue,
Okay.
green, back to blue. Or
Yeah.
comics don't matter anymore.
It's okay. If I had my choice, I'd be changing hair every other day. So
I just
Hey,
don't
look,
appreciate
see,
Star
what
Wars.
happened is Depa took
yeah,
Caleb
no, I
to
appreciate that in
Batu,
terms of story.
and they went to the trading post and they bought some crystals, and they're just swapping them out for fun. And that's what happened.
That's canon
Yeah.
now.
That's canon.
I just don't appreciate Star Wars having me relive my Star Wars mom's death in 4K. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
Big sad
Speaking of
hours.
sadness, we had to relive
that?
Order 66 again.
Yay!
How many times?
It's a tradition.
Y'all,
Every May the 4th,
it's
we have
like-
to relive Order 66.
It's like Batman's parents dying.
It
How many
really
times
is.
are we gonna see it?
So painful. Please, no more next
I'm
year.
wondering how they're
Please,
going to bring
no
it back next May the 4th. Is there going to be like a
Yeah.
flashback?
Yeah.
It's gonna just be Baby Yoda, like witnessing
No!
Order 66.
No!
No.
Oh, God.
No.
Isn't Mando coming back in the
Grogu.
spring?
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be the burning of the temple.
Oh, good. Okay.
Maggie. This is painful. Oh, God. Okay. Anyways,
Okay.
pain
So,
and suffering.
Order 66 kicks off. The regs start following orders, and
Good. Sword.
most of the Bad Batch,
Just follow orders.
like 80% of the Bad Batch, is like, this is a problem. And
Oh,
20% of the Bad Batch is like, good soldiers follow orders.
oh,
So,
Crosshair, my son.
Oh.
It's just
how are we
funny
feeling about
that
Crosshair?
I have so
Crosshair.
many
In this
feelings
in
on
this
Crosshair.
moment, in this moment. Obviously, we'll have more feelings about Crosshair later.
like,
Life
I like
So
I
many feelings.
like I don't know. I just found it so funny that his defection was leaked, and like even if it wasn't leaked and just in the trailer, like it was still pretty much you could figure it out within the
Yeah.
first 5 minutes.
It made
because
sense
of the
for
way he
plot.
talks.
Yeah, it
One
made
of them was gonna have to go.
Yeah, somebody
Exactly.
was somebody
And
was
just,
gonna
like,
have to
we're
do
gonna-
it, and he was the most logical choice.
Yeah, and we're gonna like get into it later, but I just really
Yeah.
appreciated how they still all have the inhibitor chips, just that the programming for it is suppressed.
Yeah.
Because I was like, are
Like
they
he was
gonna have
running at like
inhibitor
30%, everybody else was running at like 0.
Which almost makes me wonder what's up with his alterations that
That's what
didn't
I was
inhibit it as
wondering,
much as
too.
the other one.
They're mutations. What?
I think it might be because he is more of a soldier than the others. Like Hunter is like a strategic like leader, and he's supposed to question authority to make the best decisions. So I feel like his inhibitor probably was like defective because of that. And then like Wrecker seems also to have more like individuality. Like he like wants his feelings to be his own, whereas Crosshair is like he's a sharpshooter, he's a soldier. Like that is his MO, is to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All he knows how to do is fight and follow
Fight and
orders.
shoot.
Follow
Follow
orders,
orders.
exactly.
And then Tech is Tech.
Tech is
Tech is tech.
Tech doesn't
Doesn't
shoot.
even have a Taylor
Tech
Swift
types.
song.
And I guess Echoes came out
I think
Well, it's because he's less.
after the
He's less
Citadel.
yeah, because he's more machine than man.
my theory is it fritzed out because of the techno union.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
They just kind of
Yeah.
fritzed it out.
yeah, that would make sense.
He's more machine than man.
Tact, sweetie, please. It's hurtful.
I'm sorry, I just saw Maggie and Freddie's
Yes, just having a whole
conversation
conversation here.
about like how he's been just handing the insults, like just insults, and just like why you think he cares what you think?
Yeah, like
He's
yeah,
like-
they think they're really doing something there.
I know he's in his mansion with his beautiful wife and kids, and like all the video games he ever wanted. You know, he is fine.
I know.
He's in a
That's
Star
why.
Wars. He is a Star Wars.
He is a Star Wars.
Is.
He's living the nerd dream. He's married to Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Exactly. And he's a Jedi.
I'm just saying,
Living the life.
living the nerd life.
Yes.
So it's hilarious. Okay, sorry.
No, nah, it's fine.
I went to reblog that we're live, and I saw Maggie's like,
Like
Just
having
going
a
on.
2-reply combo with Freddie Prinze. Like
I know that's big.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Last
Okay.
time it was when he and I made fun of the Rise of Skywalker.
King. I mean, what? I'm not here for that. I'm a nice person. Okay.
Well, speaking of Freddie,
Speaking of Freddy.
Speaking of Freddy.
So Hunter claims to have killed him. We obviously know this doesn't happen. Crosshair obviously knows this doesn't happen. even though
Crosshair
he's
saw
currently got no
Rebels.
proof. But he's like, that didn't happen.
Right.
So they
Doesn't have
head on
doubts.
back home to Camino. Everything is tense and Crosshair is sus. Meanwhile, they are walking down the hallway when we are introduced to the Sunshine Girl herself,
Aww.
Omega.
Disney princess in the making.
And now that
Yes.
I've introduced Omega,
Oh,
everybody, please feel free to share all your feels about this delightful child.
oh my god. She makes me so happy. Like, it's
So
so
cute.
I love it. Like, I was talking about this earlier with some people earlier, but I really like how in these first 2 episodes we're seeing a lot of children's perspectives. Like watching Caleb and his like excitement over watching the Bad Batch just like wreck an entire thing of droids. Like it was infectious. Like I
Yes.
found myself going, "Yes, get him!" And then Omega, just how excited she was to like meet the Batch and like travel with them. And we'll talk about it a little bit more in episode 2, I'm sure. But just kind of the way she sees the world and kind of the way she's experiencing everything. Oh my god, yes.
oh,
Sorry.
the manner.
You've distracted me with Hunter. That pose.
So cute.
That
yeah.
pose is beautiful. But just kind of the way she's experiencing everything, like it's such a breath of fresh air. And because it's just like you don't see that, we as adults don't see all of this way. So I'm enjoying kind of seeing everything through her perspective to some degree and just having fun with it. So I love it.
I do like how much this is clearly a kid's show, because when the Batch show up with Caleb and Depa's like, who are your friends? And he introduces them one by one. And then less than 20 minutes later, Omega does the same thing. Like just so the kids watching can remember
Yeah.
which one's which
Like
one.
who's who?
everyone's saying their names a lot.
And then like the
Yeah.
camera tilts slightly so you know which one is which. I just
Who we're
really
looking at.
I loved when she called them her friends in the
I know.
cafeteria.
fight?
I just got so many wholesome feels.
Yes. We got Tick.
Bad Batch.
I can't do a New Zealand accent. We got Tick and Rika and Omega.
Mika.
That's pretty good, Hannah.
I think I got it.
Good.
I think I got it.
It's pretty good.
There you
And
go.
can we just say
impressive.
the most creative thing they could think of is a sad batch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
Let's go,
they're-
clones.
They're not
Let's go.
cloned for their
They don't
creativity.
get out much.
R.I.P. 5. So you'd have some pretty good comebacks.
No,
Don't
no, but
remind
they
me
were
of
just act-
Fives. Why would you
My boy.
remind me?
Oh,
boy.
five.
I have his armor in my room. That sounds weird, but it's in my room.
It sounds
Do you
really
have
weird,
him
Hannah.
too?
I
Okay.
wish
Would
I
you
did.
save him?
Trust me, I wish I did.
After 10 o'clock, I guess we're doing this.
Okay.
Sorry, Maggie and I'll come back. We're fine. It's good. Sad
No,
batch.
wa-
Sad batch and
Waffles
food fight.
After Dark. Waffles After
So
Dark.
sad for that.
Come join us.
That's bad. Bad bitches do the Bad Batch.
That's awful. That
Yes.
Apparently, it's not just the Bad Batch. We're talking about fives now. Anyway, let's stop before I go on a Rex tangent. So,
And then there's
Bring it home.
Jesse, and there's Cody,
Cody.
and there's Wolf, and
oh, Wolf.
McGregor.
Delta
I'm
Squad,
sorry. I
bring
feel
them all.
like this hat. I feel like this hat's making me a different person tonight.
Maggie, no, that's you.
That's very on brand, Maggie.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, different person. This is
I'm
you.
innocent.
I think.
Sure.
I think the one thing I
I
also
believe you.
really, really like about this show right now is we really get to see the immediate transition from Republic to Empire,
Mhm.
and we see that with the clones being stripped of pretty much all individuality, the chain codes,
The fact that they're taking ships.
taking ships, and like Tarkin. When I can't remember who said it. I can't remember the comedian's name for the life of me. I need to remember
Mama
that.
Less
Who?
speechiest,
The
Connor.
guy, the girl.
The Prime Minister is Tan Wee.
Yeah,
Nope,
it
Tan
might
Wee.
have been.
Never mind.
I think
I'm thinking
it
of
was
Attack of the
Nala
Clones.
Se, who said like, "Oh,
Nala Se
Chancellor
is-
Palpatine," and then Tarkin goes, "No, Emperor Palpatine." I'm like,
I'm gonna
ooh,
kick
I
Tarkin
like
in the shins. Oh,
So creepy.
punch him in the face.
It was
Yeah.
Okay,
startling.
I thought it was interesting that, they're saying they have these inhibitor chips to follow orders. So things like Order 66 and it kicks in. But the way they just went from, soldiers to mindless Empire drones
was
very, very quickly.
It's very
How
scary.
how much lifting is this chip doing?
Yeah, because they're like
Seems a
cheering.
good
They're like
lot.
cheerleaders for them.
Yeah. Yeah, like they were.
Like,
Yeah, because Tech was like, "You still think they're not brainwashed?" Like, I'm like, call it.
I love
but-
how they're shocked that Hunter's like it was chips and Tech's like what else could it be?
Yeah, poor Tech is.
Tech goes from
just
A
like,
to
oh,
D
God.
and expects you to keep up.
Yeah.
That's Tech.
Mhm.
yeah. Tech's
Yeah.
like, I'm 5 steps ahead of all of you.
Like
Yeah.
everyone else is just an idiot to him.
Hunter's just trying to be a dad. Like he's got a lot on his plate. Like
I know.
Can we talk about how Star Wars is into father figures? like,
yes.
Did they figure out this works and they're just like, let's go
Yeah.
with it?
they're like this sells shit.
People
Yeah.
like a
Fatherhood.
reluctant dad arc.
Yep.
Yeah.
Grumpy dad with soft
Grumpy
sunshine
dad who
side.
didn't want the kid but would die for the kid.
I
I mean, The Witcher capitalized on that too. So
Yeah.
it's all across the board.
grumpy dads are in style apparently.
Grumpy dads.
Yeah.
Grumpy soft dads.
So, following the food fight, we get Echo in the med bay. We get the cutest little medical droid.
AZ1.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
AZ1.
Yep. Big rip.
Sorry.
I hated
then-
seeing that.
Rather than getting in trouble for the food fight, they are thrown into an arena so Tarkin can
Shoot
cut
at
them out.
I think
Oh,
I'd rather
that's-
get in trouble than get shot at.
This was
Yeah.
so cool.
They,
It was
Like,
they
he's like
so
were
proto
good.
death troopers over here.
So
Like
good.
the
Yeah,
troopers.
it does.
The troopers.
Oh
Not
my
troopers.
God.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it freaked me. It surprised me when Tarkin was like, "Yeah, let's use live rounds
Let's
now."
shoot
And I'm like,
them for real.
yo,
And not
what?
give them guns to fight back with.
"Yeah,"
Because it's
but like they
There you
still
go.
succeeded. It's just
Yeah.
insane. I love especially when Hunter throws the knife and then Crosshair just shoots it at the one droid. That was
That was
so
so
cool.
so good.
Boy.
So what is Tarkin's plan? Because let's say he's like, it's cheaper to get born people
Yeah.
to be stormtroopers.
Yeah.
But you already got all these clones.
But he doesn't like clones.
Yeah.
Oh, he just
doesn't
he doesn't like them.
It
I guess,
might-
but the Empire's got to think money wise. But
And I mean, you
Yeah,
think
I'm
about the
thinking it's
accelerated
more-
aging.
Yeah, the thing
That's
is,
one
you're
thing.
By the time
equipping
they
and
age
changing-
out, people
Yeah.
should be ready to fight. So, he can amass all the regular people while the clones die.
But
Yeah,
it
so-
makes sense
Yeah,
for him.
but I
to,
wonder
it makes
if
sense
it's-
for him to train them all now because
Yeah.
he's not going to have them for as long as he would have a normal
Yeah.
soldier.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
on the
I-
clones, you'd probably
Yeah.
get a couple more years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder if it's more financial than personal because of just the
Right.
Death Star and everything.
Death Star,
because
Mhm.
it
It's
kind of
already in-
reminds me of an early issue in the main 2015 Star Wars comic where Cassio Tag talks about all the resources and money we put into the Death Star initiative. We could have been amassing a fleet of Star Destroyers.
Mhm. Yeah, and,
And so,
I mean,
I
that
feel
comes
like
up
that's
in,
kind of the same thing.
what's that?
High
They
called?
Chris
also
Thrawn's
did
Treaty?
Rebels.
Like that whole
in
thing?
Rebels, where Thrawn went to
Mhm.
develop the TIE,
Yeah, the TIE
project,
Defender.
Yep.
and Tarkin was talking about, no, we're gonna use
Yeah, and I mean-
Stardust.
Yeah, and I mean, even in the book, in Treason, there's the whole argument of, which is better, the Defender Project or the Death Star, and there's that whole competition between the two. of
I
them.
just love that part about the Empire so much. The fact that they're are squabbling over the financial.
Yeah.
Over money.
Over
yeah.
money.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's too real.
which doesn't
Well, I
happen. Yeah.
I was also thinking because I was talking last night with a couple of guys, and they were they were saying the cost, and I'm like, yeah, the cost, but also if Tarkin goes around to all these planets that might otherwise like not fall in line and start recruiting from their own for the army, they are less inclined to fight back.
That's
Because
what happened to
people they love
Mandalore.
now. That's there you go. So like people they love are now fighting for the Empire, or like in the army of the Empire. So why would they wouldn't be inclined to do anything about it? So it's a win-win for him, and he's not have to pay the Kaminoans anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder if I imagine the Kaminoans are going to get like a pretty decent, I don't want to say arc, but just a pretty decent like story in this show, which will excite me because like we don't know that much about them in
We
canon.
know virtually nothing about them.
Yeah.
Can we talk
We don't
about Omega's relationship with what is
Nalase?
Nalase.
Nalase.
Oh
yeah, like
That's so
does she
strange.
care? Does she care about Omega?
She
Like-
let them go.
Yeah.
She stalled the door. She let them go.
Yeah.
I think she must care about Omega.
I was like, to a
She
certain
must
degree, I think she does. I think there's probably some other underlying motivation because my theory is the Kaminoans are just motivated by money
Yeah.
or spite. I think they were also spiting Tarkin just because of him being the butt he was.
He does want to
I
cut off
wouldn't,
their
I wouldn't be
paycheck.
surprised if we see
Yeah.
like a Stormtrooper versus Clone Rebellion.
That would be fantastic.
That'd be
Yeah.
But
great.
also, when, at that point before they leave is when they reveal that Omega is another enhanced clone or a modified clone.
Mhm.
Because where they say, oh, yeah, the 5, but they were thinking about Echo, but Echo is a regular.
Yeah, that was
Another example of
on
tech going from
Onderon.
A to D.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
5 of us.
Like,
Yeah, when he
5 of
said
us.
like, "Oh yeah, the 5 of us," I'm like, "Yeah, the 5 of you guys." He's like, "Well, Echo's a reg," and I'm like, "I'm an idiot. How did I not
I
see
know.
this
That's I was
before?"
like, oh my god.
yeah, because
That
I'm
was-
like, isn't
Damn
Echo
it.
like enhanced now because he was effed up? You know,
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
said.
Techno Union enhanced him.
But it's That's
Yeah,
I felt.
but
I felt
in
the exact
the-
same way, Connor. I'm like, oh, I should have seen that one.
Yeah,
They
we
have
didn't get that
certain-
from a kids program. I felt like an idiot.
Yeah, I,
That's okay, because that means they told their story well,
Hmm
right?
True.
and just the one moment I love before they go to Onderon is when like Omega starts wriggling her hands and then calls out to Hunter like he's a father. Ah,
What did she want to tell him here? Was it just that like
Huh?
Tarkin is sus, or like
No, that one of them is that's one of their own is talking to Tarkin and telling
Oh
him
yeah,
stuff.
because was it
Yeah.
at that point that Crosshair had filed the report against Hunter,
Yeah.
letting
yeah, he
Kanan
must
go?
have. Because when else would he have time
Okay.
to do it?
Yeah, I bet that's what it was.
Yeah, because I was like, why didn't you tell him? Because that's like major.
Tell the
But
sweet
again-
man.
For
She's
drama.
a child, and I think like
Yeah.
I had a friend who like doesn't like Omega too much, and I was like, I kind of get it, but again, you gotta think she is a kid. It's just hard when it's animation to be like, oh yeah, she's played by like a 37-year-old woman, but she is a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I agree.
we have to be. It's like Ahsoka was being played by a full adult. We just have to be forgiving. She will.
Yeah.
She'll start to mesh.
it shows
better.
just how good their voice acting is.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I was shocked. I looked up. I'm like, oh, yeah, she's New Zealand and everything like that, and I was like, oh my god, I thought this was like a teenager,
No,
No.
a whole grown woman.
a whole grown woman, not a half grown woman.
And I think probably my favorite part of their, well, I mean, other than just seeing Onderon in updated,
Yeah.
I'll say season 8 animation. I don't know what else to call it. Bad Batch
Oh.
animation. Just seeing Onderon and just Camino and just this animation is just
Oh, it's stunning.
Oh,
it's absolutely
incredible.
stunning.
like I would want to see definitely.
Lies.
Just seeing that is incredible.
Hey, they're wearing their masks. Good on you guys.
Yeah, good.
Good.
The
I
Onderon
mean-
rebels get it.
They're responsible rebels,
Yep.
which is why
Exactly.
Tarkin doesn't like them because Tarkin is anti-mask.
Yeah.
So
Oh, he's totally anti-mask. He's anti-science. He's anti-clone.
he thinks
Yeah.
he thinks the
True.
pandemic's a hoax. So,
Blue shadow
Tarkin
virus was a
sends
hoax.
bad batch.
Blue Shadow Virus. Hashtag not real.
Target sends a bad batch to Onderon, saying that there's these. What did he say?
Insurgents.
Insurgents. That's
Yeah.
what he's like.
He calls them- I
Insurgents
think
on
he says
Onderon. Go take
separatist
care of them.
forces. Yeah.
Only for
Separatist
the
Yeah, he says
Advent.
separate forces, so they're thinking
Right.
droids, of course.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said separatist threat. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Crosshair's like, "Say the order, Hunter," and Hunter's like,
No,
What are you
Crosshair's
crazy?
one of the
What's wrong
order
with you?
after somebody's like, look, there's kids there. And Crosshair's like, great. And just like pulls out the gun.
He's like more of a challenge. There's
They don't
less
run
to
as fast.
shoot.
It's great. Like,
It's a smaller surface. Jesus Christ.
so yeah, so Tarkin straight up just sent the Bad Batch to take care of his dirty business and get rid of Saw Gerrera and I guess what is the beginning of his partisans.
Oof, yeah.
Tarkin's a butt.
Yep. That was the beginning of it.
I love this moment, like this whole like beginning and up to this point in Bad Batch, because to me it shows me that this show is going to be all about the little choices. Because again, we're following a lot of things through Hunter and Omega's eyes right now, but all the little choices that Hunter's been making, letting Caleb go, letting Saw go, like basically none of the rest of anything we've seen would have happened if not for that choice. And I'm not saying Hunter's like the be all end all of the characters, but it's just the little tiny choices that have been made in these moments already that I think are going to make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
So
Well said.
Yeah,
And
it
I
like
think just-
reminds me of
Very
like Rogue One. Like these people like off to the side making these big differences by just making the right choice.
yeah, because there were some things I think in interviews that came out a little bit before the show even aired, talking about what was it? Because I wrote a note on it. It was like on a smaller scale galactically, just in terms of a Star Wars story, but you see how much of an impact it has, and I don't know. I just think that's really powerful. I like the little man stories. I really do.
Same.
In Star
Look
Wars.
at-
Just with
Look at this,
Yeah.
like the one choice they made right here. They chose not to take out Saw Gerrera. 20 years from now, Saw Gerrera is going to point Jyn towards Galen, who's going to point her to the Death Star plans. So this one choice that they make now
Has
blew up
major
the Death Star.
ramifications.
Major
Yes,
ramifications.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also
And I
how
love Saw.
these two perspectives that Hunter and like Crosshair is good soldiers, follow orders, even if his chief is working at a certain level, not as full-fledged, but Hunter is taking a choice. And we saw that, I mean, back in the Siege of Mandalore, well, the after, when Rex, his ship was working, but before obviously knocking him out, he was...
I know, same as
We're
same
talking about
Marcy.
Rex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Persisted.
It is love saved them all. It is love. I'm sorry.
It is love that saved them.
Sorry.
Whether
I get
you want
emotional
it-
thinking about it. It's
Like,
just like
whatever kind of love. It's love.
it's
that saves-
attachments that like in Anakin, like in a theory, like it's attachments that hurt Anakin, but it's Ahsoka's attachments that actually save her.
because it's unhealthy attachment that
Yes.
ended Anakin.
Yeah.
Yes, but Ahsoka's friendships and
Yep.
love
Those were very
for Rex.
selfless.
Yes.
And I think just for probably one part I really liked about Onderon was when Saw says you can adapt and survive or die with the past. And it didn't occur to me on until my rewatch where I was like, this is probably the theme of the show right here.
It should be the theme of everyone's life because
Yeah.
that's where all the issues come from. You need to adapt and go with this.
Yeah.
Like
So would you say if you die with the past, so you have to let the past die?
Kill it if
No.
you have to.
no, because you got to learn about from the past
gotta-
to
you
adapt for
gotta
the
embrace
future.
it.
Overhaul.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you let the past die.
So I upset Arzu earlier today by
She did
reminding
upset
her
me earlier today.
Obi-Wan died. I just reminded her that Obi-Wan is dead.
This is her punishment. This is
And then
Candace's
Candace was
punishment.
like, Arzu, didn't you see what I said? So
God.
she upset me very much today.
Yes, because I reminded her of a 40, 50-year-old spoiler.
Yeah.
Oh my
So-
god.
This stream is now brought to you by Raylo
Yes.
in Revenge.
This is
Not
a
alone.
Raylo.
Oh God! Stop it!
We're not trying to hurt Hannah.
This is hateful.
Okay, can I just say, I think it's funny they're choosing Raylo because, like, I'm indifferent. I don't
I
care.
know,
I don't
but
hate.
You don't like when we make everything about
I
Raylo.
just exist.
So we're making everything
But
about
it-
Okay, wait. Okay,
Shot
speaking
in
of
the
which,
heart.
how is Bad Batch like Raylo?
Because you have to let the
going to get a
past die.
redemption arc. And knowing the way things go,
He cannot die. I
we
cannot.
don't want him to die,
will
but
cry.
we don't trust anyone.
I will
Do
sob.
y'all think that Omega is Ray's mom?
No.
No.
Omega
was-
better be her own person. I don't want Omega is Ray's mom. I don't want Omega Palpatine. I will accept that
Have you seen
Omega
the
might
have
be
you
a
seen
Django
the
clone.
Omega Phasma
Never.
theory?
Omega Phasma.
They haven't run-
The Omega Phasma theory just
I
tells
threw
you
up in
how
my
to read
mouth
Phasma.
a little. I threw up in my mouth a little
Like
when I read it.
Phasma's got her life is pretty well documented.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And
like
this
you need
thing
to
is-
pick
She'd have
up
to be like 60 years old.
I know.
Yeah, like
And just
Again, I threw up
Abby
in my
and
mouth
Phasma
a
would
little.
contradict
I
like
believe she
all
would be
of
the
the
girl on the Ewok movies.
she's like 18 when the Empire falls.
No, she is not Sendel.
No, it's
I
not.
just, it really
I
should
read
be.
that somewhere.
Well,
like,
is- Yo,
Wait, what
is
did you
Omega gonna age twice as fast?
I don't know. Because here's the thing.
That's a good
The
question.
cloning program at this point is like what, 10 years old
Yeah.
or so?
13.
13 years old.
13,
okay.
yeah.
13,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Sorry, math.
she doesn't, unless they like made her last week, she has not had time to age this much. Which makes me think she might be altered in certain ways, but like Boba, her aging isn't altered.
I'm having this thought of Omega popping out of like a toaster or something. Like, I'm done.
My name's Omega. Like just boom.
Hello, my
My
name is
little-
Omega.
My bake.
here's Omega.
It's Omega.
So yeah,
Is-
unless she's like super, super new, which I don't think she is, because she's
I don't think
very
she
well
is
acquainted
either.
with who the Bad Batch are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
yeah.
I think she
She's
was born
very-
sometime maybe in the middle of like those 10 years.
Okay.
Just for some
And
age.
Well, then
is
she
her
would be aging twice as fast.
is her mutation or being a bad batch that she's a girl?
I have a crack theory on this. Can,
Okay,
I,
go
tell you,
for it.
can I tell you my really weird crack theory that I have on Omega?
Yes.
So I think they were pulling like a whole M count thing because there was a Jedi on Camino, and they were maybe trying to inject her with high midi-chlorian count blood. And her like skill is maybe like a chameleon. That was the best way I could try to describe it, because you see her mimicking Hunter, which was hands down the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life. Yes,
Aw.
I love that pose. Just the whole thing is so cute. I love it. And then you have her learning, like being a crack shot after her
Yes.
conversation with Crosshair. Like she physically touches Crosshair. She touches him. And then all of a sudden she can shoot this rifle out of his hand. And
She's like
then,
a rogue.
and then she watches Tech in the second episode do the whole thing with the chain codes and finishes them because him and Echo got distracted. And she finishes them and goes. So like my thing is like maybe it's some sort of like mimicry chameleon thing. Maybe it's related to the Force. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just completely wrong, but that's where I'm sitting with this.
Or
Well,
maybe
no,
the
because they did make a
mutation
whole
she
point about
has.
Hunter commenting on her shooting, and she's like, "I've never fired a blaster."
Yeah, she's like,
she
I've never
fired. Yeah.
I've never
So-
fired a blaster in my life. So.
I really like that actually because I've
Good.
always
Yeah.
Thank God
Is
I'm
it-
not insane.
I've either
I feel
thought that
insane.
like yeah, because I've either thought that like she has a combination of all four of them,
Mm-hmm.
all four of their traits, plus like maybe hers, and like maybe force sensitivity. So
What
like,
if
this would kind
what
of
if
add
she
up
was
to
made
that.
from the four of them? Like,
Oh.
wait, because
I
this,
mean, I'm-
this is my
yeah.
one little issue is I don't want a girl to be capable because of the Force, because
Yeah.
that's my issue. It's
Yeah,
like, oh,
that's a good
Rey's
point.
capable
Yeah.
because she's powerful with the Force because she's a Palpatine.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
That's just my one issue. I like it if it wasn't for that fact.
Yeah.
I think
know
they
what I
were
mean?
tweaking. It's,
No, yeah.
it's more like the Weapon
Yeah.
X. I was telling Hannah they reminded me Logan and X-23
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that they were messing and taking the
But what if
attributes
what
and
if
skills.
she was created from all four of them? Like,
I like that.
Like
I
Same.
like that too. I'm
There you
open
go.
to everything.
she's got four dads.
Star
No, but
Wars
the thing
giving us
is,
mutants.
that there's
Good.
no way to mix the four of them because they are all the same base DNA model.
But they all have genetic
It's
mutations.
not- is it genetic mutation that makes them the way they are?
Yeah, because AZ says they're genetically defective clones.
Right.
So-
okay.
And then you have
my
Cut ominously saying that you all were made for a purpose, so what's her purpose?
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. So at the beginning, I recall on season 7, it was they are defective. So they were a bad batch. That's they
Like something went wrong, yeah.
Exactly, but it seems like they were doing on purpose. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna
And it
enhance
sounds like they
it.
were
Like,
like,
what a
the
happy
Kim and Owens
accident!
were
They're all so
trying,
good
yeah.
at their stuff.
Like
And
they
I
were
just-
trying really hard.
I
Go
was
ahead,
going to say like the Camille. I always say their name wrong. The Camille.
The tall neck
The
people.
tall neck people.
That's all that-
Sorry, my
Camilleos.
speech impediment does not want me to say that word tonight. They seemed really intent on getting Omega off with the Bad Batch.
Mhm.
So much so that they helped with the escape. So it feels like either one, they're very protective of her and they think that Tarkin is sus, or two, that there is some purpose that they think that Omega will fulfill with the Bad Batch.
Yeah, why would they just be like, oh no, she's an assistant. She's not a clone.
Yeah.
You know, why hide her? They
Yeah.
created her off book. I feel like
When-
off the Empire.
Yeah, they were
off-
messing with the.
When Nala Say says like she's here doing her job, I don't think she's lying. I think Omega does have a job, like a function to fulfill, but like in center, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nefarious.
I mean, she knew about the inhibitor chips. I wonder if she was tinkering around in there.
She the one that plugs them in with her little finger.
Like the
Oh,
US
that would be
like the
so
USB
cool.
in the phone.
Maybe.
Goes
Hey,
down
she's-
the chips.
I
She's
am
a young
open
kid.
to
She knows how to program a phone, right?
There
So
you
she
go.
knows how to work a phone.
You know, kids and their technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Bad Batch obviously don't kill Saw Gerrera, and they instead go back to Kamino
on Doron.
because they have to get Omega because she's one of us.
Mhm.
So they get there and are immediately arrested, as you do.
Yeah. And we find out about Crosshair and his
We find
chip.
out about Crosshair.
And here, sorry,
Yeah.
Hannah, look away.
Okay, close my eyes. Oh God.
They take
I really-
Crosshair to the
I
med
just
center and
really
they
like
turn
how-
his inhibitor chip up to 11,
Yep.
while the rest of them have to try to break out of jail in the cutest way possible.
Aww.
Yeah,
This has been
Megan
living-
knows.
In my head since Tuesday.
Okay, let's talk about this scene about her saying, "I know what you're going to do, and it's not your fault."
God.
So, did she maybe want to tell them this before they left? Warn them in any way, or did she just not know until they got back?
Ooh.
How much does she know? I guess.
It's a good
my
question.
That's a good question.
Sorry, I see a
That's a
puppy.
good.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
That's mine.
Hi,
I
puppy.
don't know.
My puppy's sleeping right now.
That's a good question.
Hi, puppy.
What's their name?
7.
7?
7. I
Like
that.
7 of 9?
Is it like 7? 7 from
Seven.
Seinfeld?
No, so the black on his face looks like the number 7. So
Oh. Cute.
he came with it.
Aw.
He came with it.
Oh, that's so cute.
He's been good.
Does 7 have opinions?
7 just sighs very deeply at 4 a.m. when I get very upset.
Okay, Bucky.
He's over it.
Bucky interrupts a lot of our podcasts with a lot of opinions.
It's like I've
Oh
seen.
wow.
You love Bucky.
So I don't know what she knew when. I think it's also hard for a kid to understand like the politics of what's going on and like what to even tell Hunter. Well, she knows the Bad Batch. Like he's telling her to stay away. He's telling her like, no kid, you know.
Our squad's nothing but trouble.
Yeah.
Nothing but trouble.
And
Yeah,
she's
I
like, that
wonder-
sounds like fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
like-
like, yes, let's do this.
She's like, great. Where do I sign up?
Because, like, she told Hunter before they went to Onderon, like, hey, Tarkin's not really, you know, all there. He's not really that good of a guy. And so, honestly, I kind of wonder if, like, she knew about Crosshair
Yeah.
and, like, his just
Maybe.
freakiness with the chip. And, like, that's what she wanted to say.
Well,
But
even if she knew about like the report, then she might logically assume that would single
But again, she's
Crosshair
a
out.
kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah. I think-
Kids are like weirdly perceptive.
Yeah.
They might not get the intricacies. It's not like they're going to turn his chip up to 11 and make him shoot at you in the bay while you're trying to escape, but like
she
they're
knew
going to
something was
take him
off.
away. They're
Yeah.
going to, because she knows about the chips, so it's like they're going to take him away and make him worse,
Yeah.
right?
I think
Speaking
that
of
much
which,
she knew.
they take him away and make him worse.
They really do.
that was a really cool, like, I hated seeing it. And, like, I know it made sense, but, like, that was just really cool that they could, like, do that.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
And really creepy, yeah.
I know.
So Crosshair defects.
So
To the
Crosshair
surprise
defects.
of
Yeah,
no
and it's
one.
No, we all.
Yeah. Nobody's
Crosshair
surprised. But
shocks
everyone
no one and
got
defects.
upset.
That was expected.
It was
The rest of them
efficient,
bust
but like
out,
no one's surprised. And we see
and they
the
take
final
Omega
showdown.
with them. And they take off to go see an old friend.
Yes. And we all had theories about who
I
that
spent
old
3
friend
days
was.
thinking it was Rex.
I have had this theory
I
since
wanted.
like me too. I was so ready. That's like
But we know
like,
Rex is happening.
We do know
yes,
Rex is
Rex
happening.
happening.
Yes.
Y'all hear
Return of the
hear me scream
King,
when it
baby.
happens. So they don't wind up seeing Rex, but they go to I can't say this planet's name.
Salakamai.
Thank you.
Selikamai.
Telecomai.
They go
Wow.
to Selikamai.
Hi, Salako.
And Omega, the Sunshine Child, gets to see the sun for the first time and have her Tangled moment.
Oh
And
my
she
God.
touches dirt and she's like captivated by it.
She loves
dirt and playing with dirt. Oh my gosh.
Like,
She's
this is
such a
great.
little gremlin child, and I love her so
There were like
much.
4 separate times where I just like teared up.
The music for this moment, like
Kevin Kiner
Kiner.
is not playing.
he's doing so
crushing it.
good.
Oh my god.
There was a little there was like a little part of it that reminded, this is like barely related, but there was a little part of it that reminded me of like the sort of theme per se of the Gettysburg soundtrack, the 1993 film. I don't know if you've
It's
seen
such a
that.
fantastic soundtrack.
So
It's very
But yeah.
cinematic. It's so much bigger than like a cartoon.
The whole soundtrack, especially like, I really noticed it in the second episode, was so big considering it's a 25-minute
Yes.
animated episode.
Yeah.
Like it was very
It's
cinematic.
lovely.
I agree.
I love this moment because it reminded me of, not to bring it back to the sequel trilogy, but like how pure of a moment it was when Rey was like feeling rain for the first time. And it's these little things that we take for granted with these characters that like travel all over the place and are seeing all of these things. Like there's so many
Yeah.
characters that have been stuck in one location and now they're getting to experience things for the first time. And it's like such a cool like emotion to feel through these characters because I mean we've all played in the dirt.
Yeah.
But like
I
to
never
have that like
thought-
pure childlike joy.
Yeah,
I
because
never
it's
thought
like
that
Back
was
to
Rey.
that
Green
whole
in the
whole
Galaxy?
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Nora, that was the exact thought I had was Rey on Takadana, where it's like
Yep.
all the green in the galaxy, and again it goes back to that perspective of we're seeing a lot of the show through children's eyes.
Yeah.
Like Omega is our child that we're seeing all this through, and the Batch is like, why are you so excited about dirt? Like it's dirt.
Lynn, you know,
Tech is
really,
just like it's dirt.
Yeah, 'cause
really,
I
the
thought
batch
it
is probably only 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeanette, yeah.
But they've also seen it all, right?
Yeah, they've been
seen a
through
lot.
war.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, because like
I want them to recapture their childlike wonder. I want them to learn that from
I think
Omega.
Wrecker already has that.
Wrecker
Oh,
is-
yeah.
Yes, Wrecker
Lula.
is precious and pure.
With
Perfect.
Lula!
With
the
Lula.
truth is all.
Lula. Do you know? I was so
We didn't
excited.
mention Lula. Oh my god.
Oh my god, how could we forget Lula? She is the 6th member of the Bad Batch.
Yes.
Do you have any idea how hard it was to keep this one particular scene quiet? 'Cause
really?
I just wanted to scream about it because, like, I have loved Wrecker since, like, because he just seems like a soft boy. And really, did we get any true signs of that in those first 4 episodes? No, that was just my perception. And then I was like, he has a comfort toy.
It does. And he hits
Her
his
name's
brothers with
Lula.
it.
Yeah,
And
we
they
have
like,
a
a family photo. And
we have our favorite himbo podcast episode coming out, and we definitely do mention Wrecker, even
We
though it's
have
before.
we had
no.
no evidence to go
No.
on. I just said I
but we said
suspect
it.
he's a himbo.
I think I'm the first
Wrecker.
person to
Himbo,
call him
yes.
a himbo because I wrote an article for Dorkside at Christmas. Candace, you read it. The one where like I had to invite all the different
Oh,
Star Wars
yeah.
characters over for Christmas, and I picked Wrecker. I'm pretty sure my editor was like, "Of all the clones, you picked Wrecker?"
It's so much fun.
And I was like, "Who doesn't want to bring a himbo over for Christmas?"
I was
I
gonna
think he
have.
bought socks.
So fun. And he's so
I
fun.
loved
would.
when
But
he.
my question now: did he bring Lula to Christmas dinner?
I
That
didn't know.
is-
about
yeah.
Lula.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
that's-
now what do you
sure.
think? Did he
Yes.
bring Lula to Christmas?
Of
dinner?
course.
Oh,
Lula
Especially
is
if he's sleeping
permanently
over.
invited.
Right.
And with the little hat, the Santa hat, imagine that would be fantastic.
Lula is permanently invited to all family functions from here on out.
Always.
And also Wrecker and also
And his
Hunter in
hat
civilian
and
clothing. Less.
Oh yes.
Oh, then yeah, let's talk about Uncle Wrecker.
Let's talk about
Oh.
Uncle Wrecker. So they go and find Cut, who we will remember from season 2 of Clone Wars. Except now Cut has terrible mutton chops, and I don't want to talk about it. But so why? So they go visit Cut and Sue and their kids, who take
So you badass.
Omega out to play, and bless this child has no idea how to play catch.
Oh my
She's
god!
like, what's
that
the
was-
point of this?
Oh.
I love that.
She's
What's
like,
the purpose? Like, she's like, okay, we have to do something. We have a job to do. You're just not explaining what it is. And they're like, you're supposed to just catch it.
Mhm.
It's fun.
And then her happiness when I catched it is like, oh my god.
That
And I
reminds
love-
me of like last week when I threw Bucky's toy at him and just hit him in the
And hit him
face.
right in the
He's-
face.
Remember that.
Yeah,
And the
And
fact
he was
that she
like-
looks to go ahead. Sorry,
yeah.
we're
Like,
talking
what's
about
the point
Bucky.
of this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about you.
It's so wholesome.
She
So
looks to
nice.
Hunter for permission to go outside, and he's like, "Yeah, go for it." And everyone's
everybody
just looking
looks
at
at
Hunter,
Hunter.
and Hunter's like, "Wait, what?" Like,
I'm a father?
I'm a father. Wait, what? Hold on.
Oops, I'm a dad.
Congratulations. It's a girl.
Congratulations, girl.
It's a 10-year-old girl.
It's a 10-year-old girl who's also like your sister and your clone.
It's your genetic copy.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's not Star Wars unless
Complicated.
there's a weird family tree.
That's true.
Yep.
Unless the family tree goes like this.
Yeah, we don't like that.
Star Wars.
Nope.
I just love that in the beginning, at least, when Wrecker and Omega were both tired after inspecting every corner of
They
the
like
ship.
tore apart the ship.
Oh,
That was so
Because
fantastic.
Uncle
Oh, good.
Wrecker is the fun uncle
yes.
Totally the fun uncle.
and is absolutely the one who would tear apart the ship and then absolutely just pass out.
Totally.
Yep.
Sugar
Got a
high
cool poncho,
crash.
too.
He's got the
I just
Oh,
want
was
to know where he
poncho.
got
The
that
poncho
poncho.
And the hat. That was fantastic.
Yes. Like, that needs to be in the sequel. I want that to be an
Space.
option in the sequel.
Oh, they gotta sell those at Galaxy's Edge now, right?
With the
Yeah,
hat?
that too. They gotta sell
The
the
hat
poncho.
I think
Space
I
poncho.
swear there are people that work at Galaxy's Edge that have that hat.
I think
Yeah,
they do.
especially with the sun.
Yeah.
I want that
Go
hat.
for it.
So Cut tells Hunter that now that, faces that look like his are, everywhere, he's going to get caught and he needs to get the family out. So they go to town to just book a transport for the family. And then they learn that they cannot leave unless they register for chain codes, which I think is the first time we're hearing this outside of Mando, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there was some sort of local mention of it in Rebels,
Yeah.
Oh,
but
that's-
this
They had it
There
for
wasn't
ships
a lot
at
of
least.
Yeah.
elaboration.
but not
but
for
this
people.
was more galactic.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in Solo but they didn't mention chain codes when Han and Kira were trying to get a. But they
Right.
didn't mention chain codes.
They mentioned
No.
some kind of ID, but they
Some kind of
bribed
ID,
the
but-
ticket
yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I had the thought, at first, you have to register for chain codes and Cut can't because he's defected from the army. And I'm like, this is terrible that they're making people register for numbers so the government can keep track of them. And I'm like, hang on a second. We all have one.
Yeah, we have social security
It's
numbers.
a social security number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
but-
automatically just thought of a bunch of historical events where people
Yeah.
had to do that.
Yeah, where it
No,
usually
and-
doesn't go all that well, does it?
No, it
No,
doesn't.
no.
But I'm like,
There was one in particular
it's
that my
painted
mind
like a
went-
social security number. I'm like, but that's not what they're going to use it for.
Yeah.
I know.
No, I
But
know.
this is what they're making it look like. So
I love this because it gave us such a great glimpse into how quickly the Empire went into action with
Mhm.
completely imposing
been
on
2
people's
days.
lives.
Yeah, 'cause
today.
I was like, it wasn't
Yeah.
a lot of time.
Just the dehumanization was just
I know.
so
It's-
swift.
I mean,
And-
the
and-
taking the ships and everything too was
Yeah.
just
And
You
like,
know
people
Palpatine.
the fear from Cod that they're gonna recognize me. I'm a deserter, so they're gonna chase me. And
Tell me,
when he's almost caught, but
Oh
then
my God.
that time, the bay and the stormtrooper just move along. It reminded me of the Believer chapter when Boba Fett said, "No, I think my face is gonna be."
Yeah.
Let's
Let's just
recognize
say they
my
might
face.
recognize my face.
Yeah, and I love what Echo said. It was like, well, the clones spent their whole lives trying to find names for themselves instead of numbers, and now people are lining up to get rid of their names and put numbers in their place instead. And I'm
And I
like,
love how-
Echo gets it.
Yeah, and I love how Tech's like, it's ingenious, really. I'm like, Tech, dude, I
Tech.
love you, but
Not
not
the
the time.
Tech is the one who sees everything in theory and everything on paper and doesn't. He's the STEM kid who needs to take a humanities course.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
Donatello.
He's
This
like
He's
is
the-
a
Donatello.
chapter
He's like the
script.
shell, approaching the Sheldon. Like that.
No,
kind
let's do
of-
my Ninja Turtle thing instead.
I like Donatello.
Yeah, I like
Donatello.
the Ninja Turtle.
Donatello.
We don't talk about that other show. But
But yeah.
it makes me think what you guys are saying, the Empire already had all this stuff going. That means Palps is in his office, having files and files of what he's gonna do with this evil empire, and it's paperwork.
Well, now that he's got total, he probably had all this lined up, and it's just day 1, Order 66, day 2,
A gun
chain code,
chart,
Speech.
day 3,
project, yeah.
And the thing is, because he's got this entire army that
Will
will
do what he
obey
says.
and mobilize extremely quickly, he can he can just roll it all out immediately.
And honestly, it was already happening during the Clone Wars. So much of this stuff. The what is it called when an army goes into a different place?
The reserves?
Like
Siege?
troop movements?
Invasion?
Not quite invasion, but they're already moved there. There's troops already on these planets.
Occupying?
Yeah, occupying. They're already occupying.
occupation. There we go.
Occupation.
Because it's the Clone Wars. When really it's them getting ready so they can do this empire. And it makes sense because to make an empire like that, you have to do it really quick and make sure you squash all your enemies as fast as possible.
Like the Jedi.
Like the Jedi.
Exactly.
My one question though, where does Cut think he's going?
He says
Where-
a planet where no one lives, so like
Like
yeah, remote planet with
Yeah.
his
an
face is
distant
his
land or
face
something.
wherever he goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
know.
I don't quite know where he thinks he's going.
Maybe he'll keep growing out those mutton chops. He'll have a big beard the next time we see him.
That's why he's wearing out the
I
mutton
know.
chops. He's trying to just hide the whole face.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's just trying to cut and run.
Yep. So, and I know like him leaving Salakumai kind of retcons this one passage. I think an interlude in the Aftermath book where like a farmer mentions that like Cut lived on Salakumai for like decades apparently and like made a living
Yeah.
for himself, and now this is just like kind of not.
maybe he comes back.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm
Thanks,
thinking.
Maggie.
Yeah.
That was like
Funny,
exact
it's like
thinking.
I know.
it's 25 years later. Like
Yeah,
he could
that,
come
that's
back.
that's the exact thought I had too.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Yeah.
that's what he tells everybody. Maybe he
Yeah.
Oh,
tells,
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where he
'Cause-
lived.
He's going to be dead in a couple of years. Sorry.
Hannah,
I'm
Effing-
sorry.
No.
All of the accelerated aging. I'm sorry.
we don't talk about it or think about it.
Okay.
I mean,
There's
he
a
looks
cure.
good.
We do not accept canon in this house.
No,
I
canon
mean,
is
apparently
optional.
Star Wars doesn't either. Sorry.
We only accept Kanan.
Uh,
Yeah.
oh,
So-
can we talk
Yeah.
about Omega being bad, getting in trouble?
A bad girl.
Yes. Okay. So Omega loses the ball that they're playing with, runs out past the fence to get it because kids, being kids, are like, "Don't go. We'll get it later," and don't bother explaining why.
Yeah. Just tell them
Which,
there's
like,
a monster
it's
out
such
there.
a kid thing to do. Like, so she
Ugh.
goes, nearly gets eaten by this thing whose name I've completely forgotten.
Nexu.
Next.
Thank you.
So,
And is then pulled back by the grown-ups, and then Hunter just yells at her.
Yep.
Like he would a soldier, which is, because he's been a dad for 10 minutes and doesn't know yet. So then Cut like steps in, dad of the year, and he's like, it's fine. And then Hunter's all like,
He's like, oh shit, I'm sorry. But then there's Wrecker in the back going, are you okay?
because Wrecker
Oh.
was like,
Are you okay? Oh my
was
God.
born to be a cuddly uncle. Like he's
Yeah.
just,
He really
Because
was.
Wrecker gets
he knows how to do it.
So yeah, I really
100%.
appreciated that because like it shows that Omega's sort of blame per se is just kind of like, did I do something wrong? And it's just from lack of experience. And with Hunter, it's like he also has this lack of experience of being a dad. And it's just that mutual learning that they're both gonna go through that I'm just really excited about.
I know. Yeah. And I love how Cut and Sue are there to kind of act as foils for that in a certain extent. Obviously with Cut with the clones and like Sue giving him the advice of like kids are gonna get in trouble. Like this is
Yep,
what they
this
do.
is what they
But
do.
as
Trying
parents,
to-
our job is to protect them. So like Hunter has an idea of like where his responsibilities are going to lie, but how he's going to go about that is going to be
I know.
unique to him and
Sue's
Omega.
a good mother. Sorry, I just
I
realized
love
we're talking
her.
about
Sue
Star
is-
Wars
I know.
mothers. and it's like, we got
Fantastic.
Sue.
I love
There's
Sue.
two
I
now.
hope she survives.
two.
They're all Twi'leks.
I hope
I
she makes
know.
it. I really
No,
do.
and how that kind of influences Hunter to when they are trying to go off world to ask them to keep Omega with them, which reminded me of Sanctuary of the Mandalorian.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When
I was
they
like-
tried-
reminiscent.
So
They gotta
reminded
try
of
to drop
that.
off this kid again.
So
It's not gonna work.
Yep.
And there's
They
something
think they
that,
can't provide what their child needs.
yeah, and I love that. Like, I love seeing the Din and Grogu and the Hunter and Omega kind of connections. I was talking to somebody about it earlier this week, and somebody can tell me if I'm completely bonkers for this. But like, I kind of think of it in like the same categories, like fruit. They're both fruit. The relationship's there, but there's like an apple versus orange, where you have like Din and Grogu. Din is the adult. Grogu is, for all intents and purposes, an infant and can make very little decision on his own. like can very much not take care of himself and make very little decisions without Din's help. Whereas Hunter and Omega, you have the adult figure that Hunter is, and then Omega, who's 10, 12, however old we think she is. And she is making these decisions for herself of like, hey, I'm going to go back. I want to be with Hunter. I want to be with the Batch. And something I like about Hunter is that he respects her decision. He's like, okay, if this is where you want to stay, then this is where you'll stay. And he accepts it and makes that, again, he lets her make that decision for herself. So I think the relationship parallels are there. I just think they're going to diverge, obviously, in very different ways. So.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I kind of hope they do, so it doesn't seem like a retread.
Exactly. Like, she's made her choice. Like, Grogu made his choice at the end of season 2. Omega's made her choice, and we're going to go from there and see where that choice leads us.
I think, like, I was a little surprised by how quickly this happened, because it did take almost a whole season for Mando to be like, okay, I guess this is my son now. And then within two episodes, like, Hunter's like, okay, this is my daughter now.
It's in their genetic makeup.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that
Yeah,
it's not even that she's his daughter. She's his daughter. It's the fact that she's one of them. Mm-hmm. She's also a bad batch.
I
so
know,
I think that might be.
It was so fast, but I'm glad that we didn't drag this out purely because we all knew it was going to end up here anyway. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm like,
I wouldn't have been surprised. Like, yeah, I'm kind of with you.
They could have taken this half the season.
Yeah, like I was surprised. Like, I thought like, oh, this will go up to like maybe episode 4 or something.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I was. Now that I think about it, I am a bit surprised, somewhat, that like the father-daughter, bonding relationship sort of was. Its foundational aspect was, pretty easy to. Not pretty easy. I'm just word salading right now.
Just what you want to hear when you're on a live stream.
The setup was, pretty quick.
It was very
in a good way.
Yeah, we've established the bond, we've established the relationship. Now where do we go from here, and how does that relationship grow and evolve?
Yep. Especially with, I think the one thing I'm looking forward to the most about this season is how she helps individually and just as a team develop the Bad Batch. Like, I'm really excited to see like a Wrecker and Omega episode where like Omega bonds with Wrecker, and then Omega bonds with Tech, and then Omega bonds with Echo, and just the whole team.
Yeah.
And how like that can help them all develop individually as characters, and then just how that can help them all develop as a team. Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
I think this is a good note, like, to start wrapping things up. So starting with Candace, what are you hoping to see this season?
Rex?
Honestly, same.
I don't know. I try not to have expectations for these shows because you get disappointed sometimes. I hope to see more character growth and development. That's what I want.
Maggie?
I want to see Fennec Shand.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. And for me personally, I'd like to see the growth between Omega and Hunter to be strengthened, because like personally, I'm not convinced of the bond yet. I'm being told there's a bond, I'm being shown there's a bond, but I'm not feeling the bond there. So I'm looking forward to that growing and strengthening so that I can actually have that buy-in to it.
Nurhal?
Nice. I think, if a wish list, I would like to see a Mandalorian, any Mandalorian. But definitely, I think I'm interested to see where's Crosshair's story is going to follow. Like, if he's going to be chasing them, or what's going to, because I don't think Tarkin is going to be like, oh, okay, yeah.
They're fine.
I guess they got away.
Tarkin's just as spiteful.
Yeah, and but expectations as well.
That's good.
We love it.
I always have expectations.
Always.
We have a lot of feelings about Rex here.
So many feelings about Rex. I'm excited to see him again. Can't wait.
We were trying to explain to Brie about, like, Arzu and I. We were talking about the original Clone Wars, and then we were talking about the Clone Wars, and we're like, you don't understand these characters. And also, like, we freaked them out because we're like, Darth Maul's hot, and they're like, what?
Yeah. And look.
But we tried to, they were like, oh, are the clones expanded? And we're like, yeah, and Rex.
You will fall in love with Captain Rex.
Specifically Rex.
And they're just like, okay. They're like worried about us, but once they watch it, they'll understand.
I'm a little worried.
It's okay,
about
we
us.
understand.
Not that worried.
Yeah, we're worried, but
Hannah, what are you looking forward to / hoping for?
I'm with Norhal. I really am excited to see more of Crosshair's story and kind of see where his goes. I'm also very excited. I want to see Gregor and Wolf because we know they show up at some point because of Rebels. I want them to intersect with Crosshair. Like, I have a whole thing. I hate the fact that I theorize because I know I'm going to get disappointed with Candace. I'm like, my heart's going to get stomped on. I can't do this. But at the same time, I'm excited. I want to see where Crosshair's story goes because he's essentially going to be our inside man into the Infant Empire and how they're. Sorry, my dog just yawned at me. He was not impressed.
That was a dog's?
Yeah, it was him. He was not impressed with what I had to say about
know,
Crosshair.
big
I don't want to
sound
be
like that.
Crosshair.
He's like, no.
Oh my god.
You must love
More
me.
dogs in Star Wars.
More dogs in Star Wars. They need to get a pet on the Havoc Marauder. Like,
Yeah.
Omega's going to adopt a pet, and they're going to have to deal with it.
That will help her
Yeah.
responsibility. It's a
It
good
really will.
teaching lesson.
Do you want a puffer pig or a loaf cat? Like, what do we want?
Loaf
I
cat.
love Loaf's cats.
Hello, cat. Yeah.
And next
Somebody on that team is allergic to cats. I can feel it.
it's probably Wrecker.
Yeah, I was gonna
it's
say.
Wrecker. Or
He
But he
wants, to
loves
cuddle, he wants to cuddle them so much, but he can't.
Or they can go to Bogano and get a Boglin.
Oh,
Or a Porg.
Or a porg.
porg.
Let's get a porg.
Okay.
Let's get porgs. Okay. But yeah.
Okay.
That's yeah.
As
I'm with
for
Mark.
me, other than what everybody else has said, Fennec, Rex, Crosshair.
You forgot about Connor.
Yeah, you totally.
No, Connor started it.
Yeah, I kind of said it, but like, probably the only. I don't really know what else. I'm just kind of wanting to see like how this story goes. Like, I know that in the trailer we saw like probably Braca, so that's going to be cool to have like a tie-in to Fallen Order, which kind of isn't surprising to me considering Matt Mignovitz helped write Fallen Order and like he wrote some episodes of Bad Batch and he's a story editor as we see in the credits. So that'll be cool. I will say,
More ponchos.
more ponchos
ponchos.
definitely.
That's the
Yes.
tie-in to Fallen Order.
I just don't want to see young Cal. That's
Okay.
surprising. That might be surprising. I just don't want to see it. It's not his story. It's the Bad Batch's story.
That's fair.
So, yeah.
So yeah.
Hey, Becky, what do you want to see?
Other than everything else, I want to see more of Echo and him dealing with being the odd man out absolutely everywhere.
Yes.
I
With
like
the batch,
that.
with the
Yeah.
regs, with everybody.
Give
That's
me
what I'm
all
gonna
the Echo
echo that.
angst.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how. I think
I
the
thought
one
there
thing
was
I'm
gonna
really
be a Bucky
excited, just to make it real quick, is I hope Bad Batch does for me with the clones what Fallen Order did for me with the Jedi. And it's like, I never sort of really cared about the Jedi that much until I played that game and experienced that story. And I viewed them in a new light. And like, it's not that I don't hate the clones. I really like their story. It just hasn't resonated with me on a deep level yet. And so I'm hoping Bad Batch does that. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll revisit Clone Wars and then see the clones story in like a new light and be like, oh, this all makes a lot of sense now.
Not even Rex, Connor?
I like Rex. Like, I really
Gonna
like
just break
them
our
all.
hearts over here.
Oh,
You're
no,
breaking
I'm-
our hearts. You're breaking
No, I can't do that. No.
He's like, okay, I'll stop.
Oh, Rex.
So, was there anything else anybody want to add? If not, Candace, where can people find you online?
TheGeekyWaffle.com, where they can find you.
They can find you too.
Geeky_waffle on Twitter. We have a TikTok, a YouTube. Well, you're obviously on YouTube or you're on Twitch watching us. Yeah. And my personal one is Candace is a Geek on Twitter. There we go.
And you can find me on Twitter at Maggie of the Town and writing over at Your Money Geek.
And something else happening next month.
Yeah, I've heard rumors, but it could just be about my reputation.
Yeah. We'll see.
Good. Well, you guys can find me on Twitter at Norhal, where I discuss thoughts on Star Wars, Marvel, pop culture, covers, music, and more.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram of the same handle, Beskar_Kyber15. And I do just a lot of yelling about clones, Mandalorians, and just all of my feelings on everything, and a lot of swearing. I kept it PG for this, so y'all.
You didn't. You cursed like 3 times.
I'm so proud of myself.
New
It was
record.
only 3 times.
Only
Yeah,
3 times.
so it's
This is-
fine.
This is a world record for me, y'all.
So you can find me on Twitter at Depa Banana, Instagram ConmanJFO, which I don't use that much. You can find me on Star Wars Editor IG, where I write sort of sparingly articles. You can also find me at the Nerd Academy podcast, specifically Knights of the Nerd Republic, where we just talk about all things Star Wars. Every episode goes up Sundays. So yeah.
You can find me at Arzuamin at arzuditu.com and over at the Geeky Waffle, specifically hosting Space Waffles, which presented tonight's live stream. We will be back on May 22nd to talk episode 3 and 4. So we hope you will join us then.
Awesome.